I'm Dan Drake. This is Front Up. Our guest today is Jeanne Miller, one of the candidates for the Nantucket Islands Land Bank. The election, town election, coming up in April.
April 15th.
And yeah, there's something, we won't go into the implications of April 15th, but why, Jeanne, are you doing this?
Why am I doing it? I'm getting asked that a lot lately. I use the land bank properties a lot. I've had camps on the island for many summers, and I just am really impressed with the pieces of property that they've purchased and the upkeep of them and the maintenance of them. And so that was my first interest in them. I really like the land bank and what it does. I had some experience with land acquisition when I was the executive director of the Sconset Trust. So that was 6 years ago. So that's when I really started thinking about land and doing that. And I just think it'd be exciting for me to be a part of that going forward.
What do you bring to it?
What I don't bring the experience that the other two gentlemen I'm running against have. They certainly have the experience. But I think on all boards, whether it be a nonprofit or a civic board or a town board, fresh ideas and fresh ears, fresh eyes, fresh information is good. I think there's a reason that most boards have term limits. You know, I just finished my 6 years at the Athenaeum, and it was a wonderful 6 years. I learned a lot, but I understand why after 6 years it's important for somebody new to come on. So I think it's nice to have the staff of an organization be consistent, you know, because they're the ones out there doing the work and carry on and have the history of it. But I think it's important to rotate the people that are on the commission.
Is there anything the land bank is doing now that you think they could be doing better?
Better. I think that they're doing some creative things with their properties. They have some small parcels that they do things like have a labyrinth. Have you ever been out to the labyrinth on Hinsdale Lane?
No, I haven't.
Behind Valero's, there's this piece of property that, you know, kind of in an interesting place on the island. It kind of intersects where there's some bike paths and some walking trails. But they've carved out a labyrinth where you can walk and meditative. There's some rocks that say love and peace and things like that. And I actually use it with young children all the time, and they love it. And it's kind of this hidden spot in the middle of the island. Didn't know that. Well, that's one thing. I'd like the land bank to get their information out more about. I think that the focus on golf is so strong, and we all love golf. Thank God the land bank has the only 2 public courses on the island. And this world-class resort, if you came here and couldn't golf unless you were a member of a club, that would be pretty bad. So I'm thrilled that the land bank has the 2 public courses. So I talked about the labyrinth. Last year, the land bank let me do something that I was really happy about. I have land bank property across from my house, and I wanted to put up a little free library. So I went to the commission, they gave me permission. I put up a little free library. It looks like a birdhouse, a big birdhouse basically. And it's a take it or leave it for books. I went through over 100 books myself, never mind the rest of the people that put books in and out. So I think they're open to ideas like that, of doing things creatively. They're going to put in a new dog park in a piece of property that's behind the Mews. So, you know, not a central location that could be used for a lot of things, but a dog park for people who want to have an area for their kids. So I like that they do creative things with their properties.
Do you have any ideas for any of their properties that you would like?
I came up with the library. That was my idea.
Do you have any
No,
other
I'd
things?
like to see what's out there to purchase. I would like to be a part of what comes next. I know waterfront is definitely a priority.
And beach access.
Beach access, and I think they do a good job with that. It's out at Surfside especially, they have pockets of land that they've purchased. And it really, having just 12 parking spots every quarter mile spreads out the beach, crowds on the beach so well. I think that's great to try to focus on that a bit. And I know the Washington Street, letting us drive into town and see the water is awfully nice too. So working on those pieces of property.
Do you think that there is a time that the land bank is funded by a tax on property transfers, and it's obviously somewhat dependent on the economy. It's a 2% tax.
Sometimes we get more, sometimes less, for sure.
But one of the things that has been said is that the land bank is gone just about as far as it can go in acquiring property. There may be bits and pieces here and there, but also 50% of the land The island is already protected. Is that enough? Should there be more? Should they purchase everything they can?
There's not a lot of big parcels even to talk about anymore. You know, there's the Loran Station in Sconset, and then there's the in Matticat
The FAA.
the FAA. Thank you, land. So those are pretty much the big parcels. So I think it's connector pieces and little pocket pieces to make better access to waterfront and things like that. They'll probably for a pretty long time still be pieces like that will be able to need to be purchased, and the maintenance of these properties. They'll always need funding for the maintenance of them. So I think that 2% is going to be for a land bank for a while. It needs to be.
Tell us a little bit about your background, what you've done on Nantucket.
I've been on Nantucket over 30 years. I was the director of the Montessori school, the Children's House, for 25 years, and then decided I needed something new in my life, recreate, and I then I went to the Sconset Trust. I know. So I went over to the Sconset Trust, and that's where I learned a lot about the whole land acquisition. I was the executive director there. They had moved the lighthouse, but we hadn't finished the property yet. So we were still working on the hardscape and the painting and finally taking down the fences and letting the public come back to...
Does the Sconset Trust own other land out there besides the lighthouse land?
Yes. Sconset Trust. Well, they own the piece of property next to the the Sconset Golf Course that the land bank purchased. Sconset Trust bought a big parcel there. And they've had like 10 or 12
What, to the
pieces in
east? To the east of
to the east, yeah.
of the golf course?
Yeah.
Along
I think
Milestone
I don't
Road?
want to get the numbers right. I'm thinking it's 85 acres, but I haven't worked out there in a while, so I don't remember. The nice thing about the Sconset Trust, the land bank, the Conservation Foundation, Land Council, they work in collaboration with each other really well. So, for instance, the Sconset Trust would love to have had that big piece of property. That was never going to be something they could do, so that they worked well with the land bank to divvy it up and split it and take responsibility for maintaining different parts. And I like seeing that collaboration with different things.
What do you like to do for fun?
Oh, you were back to what I like to do. What do I like to do for fun? Kayak, golf, read.
Let's go back to the golf for a minute.
Golf.
Not your
You haven't mentioned golf.
Not your golf
The
game.
land bank, you haven't mentioned golf.
What about the clubhouse out at Maya Common?
It sounds like the clubhouse it's been decided that will be a project going forward. They've earmarked about a little bit over $1 million towards that. And I think that, I've spent some time out there lately since it's one of the only restaurants open. It's awfully nice to have it. And the infrastructure, it does. The kitchen needs to be upgraded. There needs to have locker rooms to change your shoes in. I know when they have award ceremonies there's not enough space to have one of those ceremonies. So I do think it needs to be upgraded. I don't think it needs to be larger than its current footprint.
And it doesn't need to be an architectural statement?
It doesn't need to be. I like the old Nantucket cottage style. So, but what it has to, what is essential is that it remains public, and that anything's done with it is open to the public, all aspects of it. So, it's a municipal golf course. It's a little unique. It's a municipal golf course with membership, but
those will well, no, they won't, because there's a new form of membership now. But
that
really doesn't do much except get you tee times, right?
And if you talk to members, it doesn't get them tea times either. So no, I think you have to keep your properties up, and part of that is upgrading that clubhouse out at Maya Common. So I think they'll move forward with that.
Anything else that comes to mind that...
You didn't ask me about the LPGA?
What do you think about the LPGA?
I think if they can, I'm glad they have a whole nother year to work on it rather than try to focus on this fall. And if they can bring the kind of sponsorship money that Rick Torr is talking about, and it can help finance the new clubhouse, that would be great.
That's great, but what about the idea that, it's being talked about for the fall, early fall?
Of 2015.
Of 2015, or any time, well, whatever year it's being talked about, 2014, 2015. The island is full then, especially on the weekends from weddings and so forth.
I have to say I can't tell. The details of it are interesting. What I know of golf tournaments, of having gone to a few, it sounds like more like people rent a lot of houses, and that is a great time for people who like to rent their houses out. You know, that's a softer season, so I think a lot of people will be thrilled to be able to rent for the whole week too.
And, there are other questions,
Group.
obviously, about it that nobody can
There's
answer.
a ton of work that has to happen, but before
whether-
someone comes through as
whether
a
you're gonna-
sponsor,
yeah,
there's no questions to
whether you're going to
answer.
get any kind of crowds, any kind of attendance, that sort of thing is all.
I've gone to PGA tournaments, so I know how big they get. I think LPGA is much smaller. It's more like going to a seniors tournament, so it'll be interesting.
It will be interesting.
I think it's worth investigating, for sure.
Good. Jeanne Miller, thank you very much, and good luck with your candidacy.
Thanks, Dan.